Darkness, a silence that feels eternal. Then, distant thunder. But it is not thunder. It is the sound of thousands of arrows tearing through the sky, blackening the sun above a battlefield. You brace yourself for impact, and yet, nothing pierces you, because all around, above and beside you, a wall has formed. Not of stone, not of wood, but of men. Men who have locked their shields together so tightly that they have become a single, unbreakable creature. To the enemy, it looked like a tortoise, crawling across the battlefield. To the Romans, it was survival. To history, it became legend. This was the Testudo. But how did men transform themselves into a living wall of iron? And what price was paid for such invincibility? The story begins. Long before Rome ruled the world, in the lands of Greece, soldiers known as hoplites once marched shoulder to shoulder in a tight phalanx, their round shields overlapping to form a barrier of bronze. In Assyria, shield-bearers knelt in rows to protect archers and spearmen. The idea was ancient, simple, protection through unity. But Rome, as it did with so many things, took an old idea and remade it into something unique, something terrifying. The Romans called it Testudo, the Latin word for tortoise, and the metaphor could not have been more perfect. Slow, deliberate, yet impossible to strike from above. The tortoise carried its own armor wherever it went. The Roman Testudo carried the armor of every man, woven into one seamless carapace. The image alone was enough to break an enemy's will. A vast rectangle of shields gleaming with iron crawling unstoppably toward city walls. It was not born from myth, but from necessity. Siege warfare was brutal. Walls towered above. Defenders rained death upon attackers, and without cover, soldiers were little more than fodder. The scutum, the great curved shield of Rome, was already a masterpiece. Tall, wide, and curved just enough to deflect blows, it became the building block of something greater. Drill by drill, order by order. The legionaries learned to lock these shields together in perfect unison. Front ranks held theirs forward, side ranks braced the edges, and the rear ranks lifted theirs high, forming a roof. In moments, men became fortress. But the genius of the Testudo was not only in its defense, it was psychological. From the walls, enemies hurled stones, spears, even pots of boiling oil. They lit arrows with fire, thinking to burn the Romans alive. And yet, beneath the Testudo, the legion advanced, slow, unstoppable, and utterly indifferent to fear. What? Do you feel standing on the walls of your city, watching an iron tortoise crawl closer, never breaking pace, never screaming, never retreating? You feel dread. You feel the weight of inevitability. Still, we must not romanticize the men beneath. Those shields, for them it was hell. Imagine the suffocating heat of iron and wood pressed against your body, the stink of sweat and fear, the deafening hammer of missiles raining down above. Inside, there was no glory, only claustrophobia, and the unshakable terror that one mistake, one faltering grip could expose a crack, and in siege warfare one crack meant death. The Romans perfected it through centuries of blood. At Alesia in 52 BCE, Julius Caesar's legions faced the great Gallic leader Vercingetorix. The walls of Alesia were tall, the defenders desperate. As missiles poured down, Caesar's men moved forward in Testudo, enduring fire from above until they reached the base of the walls. It was not swift, not easy, but it was effective. Time and again, the Gallic reign of death broke upon the Roman tortoise. In the Dacian Wars under Emperor Trajan, the Testudo faced its greatest challenge. The Dacians wielded the false, a curved blade so powerful it could shear through shields and helmets. Roman soldiers had to reinforce their helmets with iron straps, and even then the Testudo was pushed to its limits. Imagine standing beneath that formation, hearing the hiss of the fowl slicing through wood, praying the wall would hold. Many did not live to see if it did. And yet, despite the terror, the formation endured. It became more than just a tactic. It became a symbol of Roman discipline. For in the Testudo, individuality disappeared. Each man became a piece of something larger, his shield part of a living wall. Rome was never about the heroism of one. It was about the strength of all. But invincibility was a dangerous illusion. The Testudo could not save men from thirst, from exhaustion, from betrayal. In the open field, it was vulnerable to cavalry. Under heavy artillery, it sometimes collapsed. And when the enemy was relentless, as at Carrhae against the Parthians, no formation could withstand the endless storm of arrows forever. The Testudo was not a miracle. It was a gamble. A gamble. That discipline would outweigh chaos. That courage would outweigh fear. Yet its legacy is undeniable. Even today we speak of closing ranks, of standing shield to shield, of unity as defense. The image of the tortoise of Rome has survived millennia, carved into monuments, etched in the memory of empires. In films, in art, in the imagination of every historian, the Testudo remains one of the purest symbols of Roman might. Think of it this way. Rome conquered not only with swords but with walls of flesh and iron that moved like one body. It was not a machine, not a fortress. It was men. Ordinary men, bound together by oath, by fear, by loyalty. Each shield was a promise. I will not abandon you if you do not abandon me. That was the soul of the Testudo. So when we call Rome invincible, we must remember what that really means. Not that its men could not bleed, not that its formations could not break, but that for centuries Rome convinced the world that it was unbreakable. That illusion was worth more than any fortress. That illusion conquered cities. Now I leave you with a question. If you were there, beneath that roof of shields, arrows hammering above, suffocating heat pressing in, the weight of survival on your shoulders, would you hold the line? Or would you break? And if the answer is not clear, then perhaps you understand why the Testudo is remembered not just as a formation, but as a legend. Share this with someone who loves forgotten history, and prepare for what comes next. For the Testudo was only one weapon in Rome's arsenal. In our next story, we march deeper into the secrets of the Roman legion, where discipline forged an empire that would echo through eternity.